Okay, so this is a video game review for KKND Xtreme for the PC. It's an expansion pack to the original Crush, Kill and Destroy, which was released in 1997 by Melbourne House, who were a company that kind of, I think, changed their name quite a lot. So I may have got that one wrong, but the welcome addition to this game and the focus of this review is the Chaos mode, basically the skirmish mode. And it's something that you see a lot of in Command & Conquer and Red Alert games, but this is the first time they used it for this, but it was really welcome because you didn't always want to play missions and stuff, you just wanted to have a blast. Now, for anyone who hasn't played a game like this, a real-time strategy game, they're quite simple. You set up a base, you construct units, and you try and destroy the other person's base. In between that, you're trying to collect resources, and you can set up defensive structures and repair facilities, and it's, you upgrade your technologies and things like that along the way. So it's a fairly simple concept, and I think this game, the art style and all that sort of stuff, works quite nicely, all the colours and everything. It looks fairly different to the sort of Red Alert thing. It's not trying to be like a massive rip-off, I don't think, because if you look at the sides, the factions, you've got the survivors, who are the sort of the military kind of side, and then you've got the well, they both are really. The mutants are kind of like these crazy dudes with sort of giant crabs with missile launchers and huge, great big elephants with sort of cannons on their their backs, and you've got men riding wolves with shotguns, and you've got giant sort of scorpions throwing acid at you. I mean, it's just really it's really well done. I mean, it's really inventive, and they could have made this just too stupid and too whatever, but it actually really works, and that's why it's such a good game. And it's not like a cheap sort of Command & Conquer knockoff, really. It is actually a lot of fun. I think it's more fun than Command & Conquer, but there are some problems with it. The main problems that I had was that you couldn't sell buildings, and that you couldn't set up mobile construction vehicles. Those are two very big things. If you can't sell buildings, if your base gets a bit big or things are in the way, you kind of place them wrong, then you're kind of fucked. You have to destroy them with your own units. And if you can set up mobile construction vehicles, then in skirmish modes later on, when you're fighting someone across the thing, and you've got a financial advantage, you can't really use that advantage, and if your resources nearby dry up, then how do you get to those other oil wells and stuff? So those were two massive sort of oversights, which is why this game goes down like a point, if not a point and a half, just on that alone. On the other stuff, though, I can happily report that it's a lot of fun, and it works a charm. There is a slight problem in that there's no music, which is a bit weird. The sound effects work great, all the responses to the units and stuff, and it's got so much character. But the fact that when the violence kind of like lulls, there's like a silence, is really weird. Usually that doesn't happen very often, but it is a bit of a strange one that they didn't put music in the game. Now, let's talk about some of the things that do work, because I have kind of focused on the negative. But you've got veteran units, which is always a plus. So when they kill more and more units, or when they're engaged in more and more fights, then they gain experience. It's not a noticeable experience, and they don't heal themselves, which is a bit of a shame. But it is still a nice touch. The enemy attack en masse. I mean, they don't just send like a few units, like piddly units against you, like every 30 minutes. They send a proper like invasion force, which is really well done. Look at that. I mean, they don't do things by half measures. And also, as soon as they've created one force, they're creating another one, so that counterattack isn't always as easy as it is in other games. Now look at this other thing. This is what I liked. It seemed at some points that my allies in this game were coming to my rescue, and just, they had a big force and they just blasted them. It was great fun to watch when you've got allies and stuff in this skirmish mode. But I think part of that was the fact that it was a small map and they were actually intruding on their part of the base, so I think it was more to do with that than great AI, but it worked anyway. The weird thing is, in the skirmish mode, is you can actually see what the maps look like when you choose them. Again, it's a small minor thing, but it is a bit of a weird one. So you just kind of have to guess that it's going to be a good map. However, I mean, let's see. The pathfinding is also a little bit dodgy. There are times when I got units stuck behind buildings and stuff and couldn't really move them. And there's no air units or naval units. You don't really miss that too much, but it is. I mean, the land units does this great. I mean, this was my. I think this was a problem. This is my base for the mutants. The mutant sort of skirmish that I did, and what I do love about this game, I haven't really been talking up. It's just so fun. But I mean, the fact that when you build 3 or 4 beast enclosures, you can build 3 or 4 beasts at one time. It's not like in Command and Conquer where it just sped up the production in one, or you had a primary building or whatever. You see those tabs along the side, which are really easy to use. You can build 3 units at a time, and so you can create an army in the matter of a couple of minutes just by having loads of war factories. Now, the downside to that is it takes up a lot of space, space that you might not have, but it's just such a good feature. It should be in every single game, and I think I can't really remember the modern red alerts too well, but I always found that it was almost like you had to, I mean, so. Yeah, what am I talking about? The modern red alerts, it just kind of sped up the units, and you had one primary building just making all your units, which is annoying. You wanted to make multiple units at a time, is what I was trying to get at, and that's what you can do with this game, which is great. It means that you can, if you've got the money, you can build like armies really quickly and just kind of counter-attack and stuff. And they even on easy, that it's a challenge. So you're not going to be winning them over too easily, and especially, as I said, with the downside of the lack of sort of mobile construction vehicles and stuff. That is a real gripe for me, because I was doing really well money-wise and stuff, but I wanted to I set up another base and just completely dominate, but I couldn't, and that was really frustrating. As fun as this game was, using giant crabs and beetles and stuff that spurt acid from their arse, it just it really was a shame that I couldn't capitalise on it, and so you kind of got a stalemate sort of situation happening. They do have a sort of airstrike capability, but I used it and it was so weak. It took like 10 minutes to charge, and it was worthless. And infantry are kind of redundant in this game. It's basically all about the big creatures, which isn't such a big problem, but it's a little bit of a shame, really. You can't really use technicians and stuff because they're kind of slow, and at least I didn't anyway. So I've kind of mentioned a lot of negative aspects of this game, but really the only ones that matter are the fact that you can't sort of sell buildings and you can't sort of set up mobile construction vehicles. Other than that, though, this is a really fun game, and it's, in my opinion, got so much more character than Command and Conquer and Red Alert and stuff like that. So I'm giving this a really solid 6 out of 10, and you can still have a lot of fun with it. So that's me.